Hello and welcome back to Sweepy Tales with Radhika. Come on, hurry up, settle down in your favorite place. Noddy is waiting, and so are you. Yes, Father Christmas has arrived, smiling and waving in his wonderful sleigh, dragged by the reindeers, and is off to Little Ear's place. Remember? We heard this the last time. Noddy is so eager, all dressed up, and his car is shining too. So why wait? Let's find out what happens in Toyland after Father Christmas arrives. So Noddy was ready in good time that evening. Mrs. Tubby came to see if he looked clean and tidy before he left. She pulled his yellow scarf straight and looked behind his ears to see if he had washed them. He had. "You'll do, little Noddy," she said. "Have you got a clean hanky in your pocket?" "Oh no, I quite forgot," said Noddy and rushed to get one. "Wouldn't it be dreadful if I had to sneeze into a dirty hanky just as Father Christmas looked at me?" "It certainly would," said Mrs. Tubby. "There, you look very nice." She gave him a kiss and he got into his car, which shone so brightly that Mrs. Tubby could hardly bear to look at it. Noddy drove to Big Ear's toadstool house in the wood. He hooted outside, "Pop, pop!" Big Ears looked out of the window. "Come in and see my new cloak," he said. Noddy went in. There stood Big Ears in his new suit, and behind him, hanging from his shoulders, was a fine crimson cloak. "Goodness me, you do look grand," said Noddy, beaming. "I feel very proud of you, Big Ears. Why don't you wear a cloak always?" "I fall over it rather," said Big Ears, "and it would get very muddy if I wore it out of doors. Well, I'm ready." He walked out of his toadstool house, his cloak coming grandly behind him. But in the little garden, it caught on a bramble and Big Ears had to stop and undo it. Then it caught on a bit of wire, and this time Noddy had to undo it. "I think I'll pick it up and carry it to the car," said Big Ears impatiently. "I hope it's not going to behave like this all the time." Off they went, but as soon as they got into the wind, the cloak blew out behind the car and flapped like a red sail. How all the rabbits stared when the car passed! Big Ears was very glad when they came to Little Ear's house. "Here we are," he said. "Noddy, isn't Little Ear's toadstool house a beauty?" Noddy stared at it. It really was the biggest toadstool he had ever seen. "Little Ears rubbed a bit of Grow Big magic on it," said Big Ears. "It's very comfortable inside." "Where are the reindeer?" asked Noddy. "Oh, I can see them. They're tied to the trees over there. I can hear the bells jingling too." "Now you wait outside Little Ear's house till I come out after dinner to go home," said Big Ears. "You might just catch sight of Father Christmas looking out of the window." "When is my song going to be sung?" asked Noddy anxiously. "You haven't forgotten about that, have you?" "Of course not," said Big Ears. "Mr. Tubby Bear and some others of his very good friends are coming at 8:30 to sing it for you. You can stand in front of them all and conduct them." "What's conducting?" asked Noddy in fright. "I can't conduct. That's what people on buses do." "You're thinking of bus conductors, you silly little fellow," said Big Ears, laughing. "You just beat time, that's all. Like this." "Oh, that's easy," said Noddy. "Let me help you out, Big Ears. Your cloak is tangled up. Shall I walk behind you and hold it up till you get to the front door?" "Oh, yes, that would look very grand," said Big Ears. So Noddy held up his crimson cloak beautifully for him as he walked proudly to the door. Little Ears opened it. He was very like Big Ears, but his ears were not so large. He beamed at little Noddy. "Hello, pleased to see you. Come in, Big Ears, Father Christmas is waiting." Big Ears went inside and the door was shut. Noddy gave a big sigh. How he would have liked to go inside too and sit in a little dark corner and listen to Father Christmas talking. But he was only little Noddy, a funny little fellow with a nodding head. He wasn't important at all. He went back to his car and got inside. He would wait till the others came to sing his song. He kept his eyes on the nearby window of Little Ear's house, but he didn't see Father Christmas looking out. It was very disappointing. At 8:30, he heard the others coming and he got out of the car. Now he would conduct them. He would beat time while they sang his song. He would feel important even if he wasn't. Mr. Tubby arranged the singers in a row. Noddy stood in front, suddenly feeling very shy. Everyone looked at him and Noddy raised a little twig he had found in a ditch. "Oh," sang everyone and then went on with the song. "There's a most important person that I hope we're going to see." Right on to the end of the song, they all went. And you should have heard how they shouted out Father Christmas's name when they came to it in the song. The door opened and out came the most important person himself. He smiled round at everyone and his blue eyes twinkled brightly. "Very nice indeed," he said. "And may I ask which of you wrote that extremely good song?" "Noddy did," said Miss Fluffy as she pushed Noddy towards Father Christmas. "He's our taxi driver and he often makes up songs." "Dear me, so this is little Noddy," said Father Christmas and smiled such a big smile that Noddy felt warm all over. Father Christmas put out his hand and Noddy shook it, very red in the face. "So, you're a taxi driver, are you?" said Father Christmas. "Where's your car?" "Here," said Noddy, finding his tongue and waved his hand towards his little car. "Pop, pop," said the car and put its lights on and off all by itself. "What a dear little car," said Father Christmas. "And how beautifully clean and shiny. Dear me, I wish I could travel through Toyland in this instead of going in my bumpy old sleigh. It's such a nuisance too, having to find a stable each night for my 4 reindeer." "Oh," said Noddy, going even redder than ever. "Oh, most important person, please have my car while you're here in Toyland. It's very easy to drive."
"That's kind of you," said Father Christmas. "But it would be a change for me to be driven instead of driving myself. I suppose you wouldn't like to come with me and drive me where I want to go?"
Noddy lost his tongue again. He couldn't say a single word. He just stared at Father Christmas as if he couldn't believe his ears. Big Ear spoke up then, feeling very excited.
"Father Christmas, sir, little Noddy's lost for words because he's so pleased. But of course, he'll drive you anywhere you want to go. He'll be here at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Won't you, Noddy?"
Noddy's head nodded so fast that it made Father Christmas quite giddy to look at him. He laughed, patted Noddy on the shoulder, and went back into Little Ear's house. "Oh," said Noddy, sitting down suddenly. "Oh, I must be dreaming." But he wasn't. It was quite true. Next morning, Noddy was outside Little Ear's house at exactly 9 o'clock. Out came Father Christmas. He was always very punctual. He smiled at Noddy and got into the car beside him. It was a bit of a squash because Father Christmas was very plump indeed.
"Now let me see," said Father Christmas, taking out a fat notebook. "I want to go to Bouncing Ball Village. I hear that some of the balls I gave to children last year had not got much bounce in them. I must inquire into that." Off they went, Noddy feeling as proud as could be. His bell jingled all the time. "You sound like a small reindeer jingling like that," said Father Christmas, and gave one of his enormous laughs. After that, Noddy couldn't be shy. He talked to Father Christmas and told him all about himself, how he had been made by an old man called Mr. Carver, and how he had been lonely and had run away from him to Toyland. "And now I've got a little house and a garage and this car and lots of friends," said Noddy happily. "Ah, a lot of friends. That's very important," said Father Christmas. "Hello, are we in Bouncing Ball Village so soon? Good. Call the chief bouncer to me, will you?" Little balls came bouncing round to see who had come. When they saw it was Father Christmas, they bounced in excitement, trying to jump right over the car. The chief bouncer was an enormous colored ball, the kind that likes to be played with at the seaside. He listened to Father Christmas's complaints, and then, in a queer bouncing kind of voice, he promised to see that every ball in the village should have proper bouncing lessons before being sent to the world of boys and girls. "Now go to Teddy Town," said Father Christmas. "I've had very good reports from boys and girls about their teddy bears. They love them very much. I want to give some praise there." On they went to Teddy Town. The chief Teddy was very proud to see Father Christmas. "You are training your teddy bears well," said Father Christmas. "I am pleased with you. One little girl has asked for a tiny doll's house teddy bear. Can you do anything about that?" "Certainly, Father Christmas," said the chief Teddy. "Pray come in for some lemonade." No, thank you, said Father Christmas. I have a lot to do today. On to Rocking Horse Town, please, Noddy.
So on they went, and the little car behaved beautifully. It didn't knock any lampposts down, it didn't go into puddles, and it ran round bumps in the road instead of jolting over them.
Very comfortable car, this, said Father Christmas. Ah, here's a rocking horse coming full tilt at us. Whoa, there, look where you are going.
Well, dear sweet peas, isn't Noddy having a wonderful, wonderful day? This is dream come true for him. Santa Claus driving around in his beautiful red car and visiting such lovely places, Bouncing Ball Village, Teddy Town, and now Rocking Horse Town. Isn't he so concerned about you lovely boys and girls? Yes, he is. But what is this? We just heard that a rocking horse is about to bang into their car. Does he or does he not? For that you have to join me in the last part of Noddy Meets Father Christmas after you finish listening to the story. Till we meet next, keep enjoying, keep listening, keep decorating that Christmas tree. See you soon with Noddy again. Bye bye.